How to keep from failing. Now, that sounds like a loaded statement, but there are key things that make you fail that can be prevented. This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. Happy 2024. We all want this year to be prosperous and successful and filled with joyous moments. Only when things don't work out, we get floundered and frustrated and resentful. Because failure is not something anybody wakes up to do and plans for. Although you may say some people are planning for the failure through bad habits. In fact, that is a guaranteed way to fail by not practicing, by not preparing, and by not being focused. In other words, you set yourself up for failure. Because just like baking a cake, if you set the temperature wrong, if you don't mix the right amount of water, the right amount of eggs, the right amount of flour, the ratio is not right, and you don't set the timer, well, your cake isn't going to turn out. You know, life can be a recipe. For some, it depends on what aspect of life we're talking about. Here I'm talking about business, but ultimately, this can be applied in your personal life as well. With business, how do you prevent yourself from failing? Well, within 5 years, 45% of all businesses fail. And why is that? Because of a lack of marketing and poor managing. How to prevent that is through proper marketing and proper managing. Now, what does that mean? I'll share with you a story and how I scaled my practice my first year. I wasn't sure as to how to go about connecting with people, and I literally printed out like hundreds of flyers, a few hundred flyers, and I knocked on everybody's door. I literally knocked on everybody's door and introduced myself in the neighborhood around me. I was a chiropractor. I owned my own healthcare practice. And I would say hello to everybody. And I wouldn't push myself onto them. Hey, I'm a chiropractor. You should come down and see. I just said, hi, my name's Spencer. I just opened up a healthcare practice. I just wanted to introduce myself. And I wanted to ask you a survey. What's your favorite restaurant in the area? What's your favorite movie? And is your health important to you? Well, you know, if you have any health problems, here's a coupon, and I hand him a flyer, and just wanted to say hello, just to connect with the neighborhood. And I thought, wow, you know, I'm not pushing. I'm doing soft sales. This is going to work. Somebody's bound to say yes in these 10,000 houses. I literally went to every single apartment and house around my office. I mean, there were a lot of houses. It took, about a week to do. And I don't think I went to every single one even in that week. But not a single person called me. Crickets. I thought, wow, what am I doing wrong? This isn't going to work because I don't know anybody in this area. I was in Cupertino, California. I had just worked for a chiropractor who was a high-level business coach for chiropractors, learned a lot from Dr. Hans Friedrichs, ran his satellite office, was bringing in an average of 15 to 20 grand worth of patients every month, doing spinal screening. And I thought, you know, I guess got to do the same thing, only where can I set up spinal screening? Where can I set up a health information booth? I went to the senior center and offered to do a health talk. That's what I did for my other chiropractor. And the centers up there were happy to see me. They said, we need someone like you. All these medical doctors are just giving us drugs. We want a holistic approach. And this was a senior center where everybody had rheumatoid arthritis. And I talked to him about gluten and how to take gluten out of your diet and autoimmune diseases and the cause of autoimmune diseases. And I thought I can do the same thing in Cupertino. The senior center, this is what they said to me. What do you want? What do you want to do that for? Why do you want to give a health talk here for? Oh, you're just trying to promote yourself. No. I was like, whoa, I'm trying to help the community here. No, you're not. You just want to promote your business. Oh, yeah, that's a part of it, but my business is in the business of helping people. See you later, got the cold shoulder. Really surprised. So then I came upon an ad for a singer coaching. And I thought, I've already worked for a high level business coach for a few years. What more can I learn? So, you know what? I went to a seminar. It was a weekend seminar. They're selling all these extra things. $21,000. I thought to myself, what the hell? This is what people were paying Dr. Hans for. I wanted to try a different coaching program. Let me try this one because it included functional medicine, functional nutrition as well, and went outside of chiropractic, which is what I wanted to do. And so they hooked me in with one of their coaches. It was just a weekly phone call. And he gave me these great ideas. He gave me a method, a tactic, and a strategy is what it's called. Go to one of your local gyms. I said, there's a UFC gym here. We'll go to the UFC gym. It's brand new. They just opened up. So I'm like, oh, this will be great. I want to go practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's all fresh faces. Nobody knows each other. I'm the first one in here. This will be great. So I go to the manager as I sign up for a membership. And they said no. I said, oh, this ain't going to work. To do a health information booth, talk to the guys, give them an offer they can't refuse, scratch each other's backs. You do a favor for them, they do a favor for you. And I said, you know what? I'm just not asking properly. Let me ask somebody else, because I was really interested in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. There was a personal trainer whose name was Sammy. He studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we connected like that. Oh, so you're just starting out? Well, yeah, I'd love to help you out in that. There's a program here, and it's really good professors, really good teachers. When you join, I'm going to sit in the class with you because I practice myself. And that thing you're doing, you're a chiropractor. Well, let me talk to the manager for you. And he did. And the manager was still saying no. By the time, now this was a pre-opening. By the time the gym opened, there was a new manager. So that's when Sammy said, let me talk to the manager. There's actually a new manager. His name was Jeremy. Jeremy was a yes man. He said, yes, we'd love to have you here. Gave everybody, my business coach said, give them care for free and they'll give you patients. Said, nobody values anything for free. This is what I thought to myself. I'm just going to charge them what my school, where I went to, Life Chiropractic College West, the student clinic, would charge students $30. So I'll give them such a huge discount off their care plan. Plus, I take an additional 20% off if they prepay for packages. It's an offer they can't refuse. And I went, and it worked. But it didn't just work through a hard sell. This is what I'm going to do for you guys, so this is what you're going to do for me. I bonded with them. I really just connected with them in a personal level. I was very personable with them and got to know them, talk to them like human beings, didn't talk to them like, they're a prospect. I said, this is the community. I'm also a member at the gym, so I'm going to get to know people. I like to get to know people. I like networking and I like forming, relationships. So that's what I did. And I just exuded, I just loved them. I loved them like they were my own family. And the more love I gave to them, the more they gave back. They referred their family, they referred each other. I saw all the managers. It was great. My practice boomed. And it was because I networked. It was because I created teamwork. It was because I created a sense of community within my area. And I became that go-to guy. And they all loved me because I had this machine called the ARP wave, and I was fixing more than just chiropractic. I really liked to do sports, help athletes. I wanted to do sports chiropractic at the time, and that's what I did. I helped a lot of sports injuries, and I got all these jiu-jitsu guys because they have so many injuries. Sponsored a professional fighter. Long story short, by getting coached, by having an outside perspective, by having someone who's been there before, someone who has walked that path and is just farther down than I am, it helped me tremendously. It helped me enormously. And then on top of that, within my own office, I had to refine my management skills. So that was my marketing. And then my management skills, I learned the hard way. Believe me, I was not a good manager when I started out. I was very bossy, I was very domineering, my way or the highway. I always had to be right. This is how the previous chiropractor was. And I figured, well, if I mimic him, then the same staff that was there would just follow suit. I realized that didn't work because I was very controlling. And then as I got to know people, got to know my own staff really, I got to know and understand what they wanted out of their work experience and what they believed in and what was important to them. And I began to just treat them like people, like they were equals. And I told my chiropractic assistant that, look, I want you to be my boss. I want you to run the office and I want you to tell me what to do. But I got to train you to do that. I got to train you in these procedures. And she was very stubborn. She worked for the other chiropractor and was used to doing things his way. Eventually had to let her go. But to smooth things over, I took everybody out for dinner once a month. Had Monday morning powwows, so I created a vision every week. We're here to help the community get healthy naturally without drugs and medicine. That was my passion. So I always instilled that vision. Are you on board? If you know anybody's interested, we're all about, non-invasive therapies and not using, prescription drugs, using herbal remedies, using natural supplements, and using chiropractic care and combining physiotherapy to help people get healthy naturally without drugs and medicine. And I really instilled that vision and motivated people and got them charged up in that vision. So I created a sense of unity. And out of that unity, that was the basis of our relationship. I talked about health. They had problems. They would come to me and ask me, well, this is what Justin used to do. What do you do? Oh, okay. And that's how I took care of things. By creating teamwork. You see, so many small business owners, so many healthcare practice owners, whether you're a medical doctor, naturopath, acupuncturist, or chiropractor, you want to run it like it's all you. You want to be the solopreneur. In fact, some of you work in a single office, just a one-room office, and you don't have staff. You're afraid to hire staff. And that's not going to work. If you want to scale your practice and grow it, you need teamwork. That doesn't happen without teamwork. And before that, you need to brand yourself. If you don't brand yourself, people don't know who you are and what you're about. There's a lot of healthcare practitioners that say, I just want to help everybody. You can't help everybody. There's a saying, you can't make everybody happy. You can only make people happy that share the same values and taste and likes that you have. Otherwise, you're not going to get along if you don't share the same values. And that's okay. You're not meant to get along with everybody. You can't help everybody. You're going to focus on a specific demographics. For me, it was athletes. I loved athletes. And I also took care of families as well. But it was always these sports-related injuries, not just back pain. So when they had sprains and strains, I went above and beyond chiropractic, and people knew me as that go-to person to take care of these sports injuries. Knee problems, hip problems, ankle problems, shoulder problems. In fact, I did more physiotherapy than I did chiropractic. And it helped people, and people liked that. And I explained to them what I was doing. I gave them an experience. It wasn't just this generic, come in the office, get adjusted, and leave. In fact, one of my patients said to me, that's why I like coming to you, Dr. Howe, because I never know what I'm going to get. And they all said to me, I like the way you explain what you're doing, so I have an understanding. A lot of doctors don't do that. What's wrong with me? I don't know. He's just doing this on me and seems to be helping, but I don't know what's wrong with me and why he's doing it. I always wanted to explain why I'm doing something, because it affects your body in such and such way, because your body functions in such and such way. So I always educated them, not in a lecturing way, but in a way that said, hey, let me enlighten you. Let me expand your consciousness. Let me help empower you so you have a greater understanding. So when you go to do what you're doing, you'll be more careful next time, and you'll have an understanding of how your body works, so you gain a sense of mastery over yourself. And it was the way I explained things to them that they liked. In other words, it's not, it is my personality, but it's also the experience that I gave them. I wanted to empower my patients. I wanted them to have an experience of they're more confident in who they are when they leave the office. And that's just something that I created within my practice. Now, you're going to have your own flavor, your own personality, your own style. And you got to figure that out and dial it in. If you don't dial it in, you'll come across as wishy-washy. In other words, you won't sound confident in what you do and who you are. If you're not confident and you don't have conviction in what you do, then your patients, your clients, your customers are not going to believe in you. They're going to doubt you because you doubt yourself. Or you may come across as being doubtful. And no one wants to go to a doctor who is doubtful in his own work, in his own principles, in his own abilities, in his own treatments. Now, this goes across the board in any avenue, in any job. If you're going to work, if you're not confident in what you do, if you don't know the benefits that you have to offer, the value of what you have, and you can't express that clearly, then no one's going to know what you can do for them. No one's going to know your worth. And you may go home feeling nobody knows me, nobody notices me. You feel invisible. And it's really demoralizing to feel invisible. How to not fail in life? You got to brand yourself. You got to connect with people in the way that you want to connect with people, in the way that tells people what you're about. Not just some generalized way of making friends with everybody, but be very specific in your message, in your value, in your mission. And when you're able to articulate that, practice, read books, get well versed. One of my colleagues always said, talk slightly above their head because you want to come across as an expert. If you start out simple, then people will think you just read that in Google or something. Why am I going to you? All I got to do is Google that. But you speak slightly above their head and then break it down and make it simple and easy to understand. So you're not arrogant. You're not talking down on people, but you are demonstrating expertise. And they trust your expertise, whether it's your colleagues, your patients, your customers, or your clients. You need conviction. You need enthusiasm in what you do. You gotta be happy about it. And that enthusiasm just exudes into people around you. You get them turned on, your passion. If you're not passionate about what you do, people aren't going to be passionate about what you do. It's just dry. Everyone's gone to a dry lecture. You're bored, you fall asleep, you can't wait until you leave. You look at your watch and can't wait till it's done. But when somebody's dynamic, somebody is funny, somebody's entertaining, they're vulnerable, they're genuine, they're also uplifting, they're encouraging, you want to listen to them. Then you actually absorb the information. There's a saying that we human beings learn more in a state of fun than in a state of seriousness. So have fun with people. Uplift people. Don't make it so heavy and dry. And be clear in your message. So that's how you brand yourself. The other side is organizing your workflow. Organize your workflow so at the end of the day, you're not going home wondering what else needs to get done, or trying to finish up the day and then putting it off for tomorrow morning and doing yesterday's work. On Saturday, you don't want to be working. On Monday, you don't want to be doing Friday's work. At the end of the week, you want to be able to look back and say everything is done. And that gets done when the end of the day, you look back and you say everything that could get done got done. Everything that was urgent and important is complete. Everything's finished. You go to sleep feeling complete. And then from there, you develop teamwork. You connect with people, delegate, create co-reciprocal relationships, win-win relationships. Both parties need to get something out of it. You always serve somebody else's, their self-interest, if you will, and how they can benefit. And they're going to want to do business with you. They're going to want to connect with you. It's just the way the world works. What's in it for them, and as much as what's in it for you. Now that goes for friendships. That goes for even office relations, if you're just a professional listening to this. But if you're a practice owner, you need to really listen carefully, because a man or woman on an island doesn't do very well. And it's a surefire way to failing by not connecting with people. Believe me, I've gone through periods of depression, stopped talking to people, and my practice just went downhill. I would be mad at something, some scenario would piss me off, and I'd carry that resentment. And I'd go try to talk to people, and I'd be wondering why everyone's just turned off by me. Clear things out in your own character, in your own energy, in your own moods before you talk to people. Make sure that you're solid in who you are before you approach people. Because if you're angry, you're sad, you're confused, you may just be vulnerable and tell people, look, I want to meet people, but I'm just in a really confused state because I got this going on. I'm sure you don't want to hear my problems, but that's what bars are for. You know what I mean? You ever go to a bar and people just start spilling their problems? And there's always somebody there to uplift them and give them a laugh. No, great. I'm not a bar guy, but I've been to several bars, and we all know how bars are. There's a time and place for everything, for conversations. So make sure that you're focused in who you are so you can be clear. Because if you're not clear, you're not going to be present. And if you're not present, well, you're not going to pay attention to details. You're going to start making mistakes. You're going to start looking for shortcuts. You're not going to cross your T's and dot your I's, if you will. Those little things, it's always the little things that matter. It's always the little things that people remember. It's those little things that matter the most. And even more subtle is your mindset. Because in reality, there are no mistakes. There are only lessons unlearned. And I'm going to get really esoteric here. Because all upsets are caused by unmet expectations. When you have expectations, they are assumptions. We create rules. We as human beings expect other people to make us comfortable. We seek certainty. We want security. We want validation, the need for significance, and also the need for safety. We want reliability so we feel safe. And when you form agreements, we create these unconscious expectations out of ourselves and them. And when we don't fulfill those expectations, or if other people don't fulfill those expectations, we get upset. We get upset with ourselves, we get self-critical, and we get judgmental towards the other person. We get mad. Now, what happens is what is missing is unclear communication and unclear understanding. When you don't have proper understanding, you don't have clear communication. You can't express your intent. If you don't express things clearly enough so the other person understands what you want to be understood, they can't make a solid agreement with something that is wishy-washy. In other words, you need to learn to articulate what it is you really mean so the other person understands what it is you really want to be heard. This way, when they make the agreement, the commitment is there. When you're networking, when you're creating a sense of teamwork with people in your office or colleagues or in your community, this is so important, is clear communication and making sure that you understand them and they understand you. Because if you have cognitive bias, if you have a viewpoint, if you don't have clear understanding, you're going to create assumptions. You're going to fill in the gaps with things that just support your assumption, your viewpoint. And they may not always be true. In other words, you're not looking at all of the facts. You need to look at all of the facts. You need to have a more complete understanding, because that's what was missing. See, in failure, you just ask yourself, what was missing? There's either an action, there is a sense of being. It's usually those two things. What action steps were missing? What didn't I do that could have been done? And the other one is a lack of focus. You have a wrong action, a lack of focus, and just your sense of being. You're not clear in who you are. Those three elements need to be worked on. If you make a mistake, you look back, what What did I miss? You know, people say that. What did I miss? What didn't I get? Why did I do that? Why did I make that decision? What were you being? In other words, what was missing? Maybe you need to be more patient. Maybe you need to be more understanding. This is that huge one that I was just talking about. If you're not understanding, you know, there's a saying, better to understand than to be understood. When you understand the scope of the situation more fully, in other words, ask more questions. You find out more, be inquisitive. Ask the other person, well, what you're saying is this, and or are these all the parameters that I need to know? You know, make sure you got all of the facts so you have a clear understanding, a comprehensive understanding. Make sure you're focused. Perhaps you're not paying attention. You're daydreaming. Your attention is split, and you weren't paying attention to the details. And therefore, your actions weren't complete. They weren't accurate. They weren't precise. Your actions did not produce the results that you wanted. Ultimately, we want, you know, when there's failure, it's only because we didn't get the results that we wanted. If we don't get the results that we want, there is upset. Because we expected the work that we did, the effort that we put in to succeed. So when we look at mistakes, when we look at failure, we don't look at it as, God damn, I failed. What did I do wrong? We get self-critical, and this whole dialogue goes into how bad of a person we are. And then it destroys your self-worth and destroys your self-confidence. So that's where the mindset really comes in. You know, you got to work on yourself. Pay more attention, get a greater understanding, articulate yourself more effectively so what you want to be understood gets understood, and get agreement, and get an assessment of their level of agreement, their commitment. Make sure that they are willing to actually carry something out, and they're not just agreeing for the sake of agreeing. They're not just a people pleaser. They're not just telling you what you want to hear. Make sure they mean what they say. Get a triple confirmation. So that's how you overcome failure. That's how you avoid failure. Really, there is no failure. There's only lessons unlearned. And it's a continual cycle of learning. You don't always get the results that you want, and that's okay. If we won every game, if we succeeded at everything, life would be boring. You know, the dynamics of life is we have good days and bad days. It makes life more interesting. It gives us something to work towards. You know, there's nothing more satisfying than learning something and overcoming something. It's very rewarding to accomplish something, a hardship, if you will. If things came too easy for you, then you'd be very bored. We human beings love to be challenged. That's what gives us the adrenaline rush. That's what gives us the dopamine, the serotonin, and the satisfaction. So overcoming failure isn't really avoiding failure. It's about learning. And it's always a learning process to evolve ourselves. And that's all that it is. There's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of how fast do you really want to learn? How fast do you want to evolve and grow in who you are? And therefore, how fast do you want to scale and grow your business? Or move up in your career? Or deepen your relationships? All of this can be applied in all facets of life. Here, I'm applying it in business because that's what I do. So when you have challenges in your business, you need to look at yourself as much as you do your tactics, your procedures, and smoothing your procedures, and creating teamwork, and delegating things, and networking yourself. Because without branding yourself, in other words, without being clear about who you are and what you have to offer and the value you have to give and the ability to articulate that, you're not going to be able to brand yourself. If you want to grow to 6 figures, you need to brand yourself. And if you want to grow to 7 figures, you need teamwork. You need really, really good players to team up with. That's where I come in, because no one gets there alone. Nobody climbs to the top all by themselves. And we all have blind spots. Look, you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. You don't know certain aspects of your life that if you were to become aware of them, you would evolve leaps and bounds. Your business would scale so much faster. And that's what you want, so you can make more money, have more fun, and have more time to spend with the people who matter. Go ahead and click on the link below. Schedule a consultation. You'll also get a 2024 business plan, a free mindset coaching session, and a high performance nutrition plan. So you can burn those pounds that you picked up during the holidays. And also it's about having an even keeled energy so you can stay focused and stay sharp throughout the day without these peaks and valleys of a sugar rush in the crash. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. I sure hope that helps.